Unstoppable Movement. My name is Christian Sierra. You can think of me as your guide, your leader on your journey to transformation. The Unstoppable Movement is all about helping you evolve spiritually, mentally, and physically so that you can be a spiritual badass that you were meant to be when you placed on this earth for this lifetime. So much has happened in the world, y'all. So much has happened since the last time we had this video. Honestly, we could do a video on just all the things that have occurred since the year has started. First of all, you got COVID, and that's been just a huge thing that has really tested us, I'm sure, to be unstoppable and adjust, because everything with the whole quarantine, stuff like that, to all the health concerns, and just unprecedented things that have been going on, it's really forced us to adjust and, deal with the state of the world right now. So I pray that everyone is doing well and healthy. Pray for your loved ones. Understand that you are protected. So please don't, go out there just stressing you are protected. Your ancestors got you, but still be smart. Don't put yourself in difficult situations or risky situations that might get you sick. So of course there's that. Besides COVID going on, besides COVID going on, we also had the whole thing, or still going through, the whole thing with police brutality, Black Lives Matter, and stuff like that. That's also why I've kind of been a little MIA from videos. It's because I've been doing a lot of online, advocating, educating, and as well as going out there protesting and really doing my research and learning about all the different things in this country that have been going on for so long against minorities and people of color. Like really educating myself and educating others and sharing the information that I know and protesting and being a voice for those who may not have a voice. So I've been really busy doing that, as I'm sure a lot of you guys have been out there, which is awesome, talking about it so that everybody can be unstoppable, because that's important, that everybody is able and has the opportunity to be unstoppable with the same, with the same opportunities as anybody else. Sorry, I moved into a new place, by the way, so it's adjustment. So it's actually my first video in my new place. So please don't mind all the sound and stuff like that. We're still making adjustments as everyone else is in here. So yeah, it's been a lot going on. Let me tell you, even in my personal life, I gotta do a whole video on all the new updates that's been going on in my life, from the new place, other things that are going on, but we're gonna do a separate video on that. But today we're talking about grounding and earthing, okay? Since we are talking about transformation, it is a new moon, so it's all about transforming, releasing, starting off anew, which I think is perfect to be coming back to do videos on stuff. But it's very important whenever you start your spiritual journey, not just starting, but throughout your spiritual journey, it's very important that you know how to ground and earthing, because, which I'm gonna get into, but I'm just going off with my little spiel. But it's very important in your practices because you're dealing with a lot of energy. You're putting out energy, you're receiving energy, there's a lot of energy around us. Everything is energy, as you may know. Everything is energy. It's important that we know how to balance that energy and keep ourselves balanced so that we are not, opening ourselves up to other energy or unintended energy, as well as, having our intentions off, having our energy off, and kind of coming out with undesired results. So today we're going to be talking all about that and how to do these simple things, but very important things that are needed in our spiritual practice, and not just spiritually, but mentally and everything else that we do. It's very important that you adopt the habit of grounding and earthing yourself, because it all, as I always say, everything is always connected. So it's very important that you know how to do this so that you're not dealing with other people's energy or unintended results of you putting out your energy. So we're going to be talking about that today and getting all into how to do it. So let's get right into it. So let's get right into our subject. So I of course gotta have my notes because I can't remember everything. I don't expect y'all to remember everything. So I'm a plethora of notes, but we're gonna get right into what we're gonna be doing today. So what exactly is grounding? Grounding is a way of creating connection with the earth, both as a support system and as a never-ending source of energy. Not getting too much into science and stuff like that, but the earth the sun, the moon, they're all things that have energy, and they've given us energy since the beginning of mankind. We've gotten energy from these things. So it makes sense that when we ground ourselves, we are connecting with that infinite energy. We're connecting to that source, and we're fueling ourselves and recharging. Think of us as being, rechargeable batteries, and we constantly need to recharge ourselves. And the earth is just that never-ending, infinite source of energy. So when we ground ourselves, or what grounding is connecting to that infinite energy, so that we can, continue doing what we do and continue moving. Think like the Energizer Bunny. It keeps us going, basically. So that is what grounding is, connecting to that infinite energy that the earth already provides for us. Now, as I said before, and I touched on before, it's very important that we ground ourselves, keeping ourselves grounded, so that we don't kind of, if you guys know anything like with cars and stuff like that, you gotta ground, or anything like wiring and stuff like that. You need to ground it, otherwise you can short circuit or overpower things. And we work the same way. It's pretty much the same concept. Grounding is our way of keeping that energy balanced, keeping that energy at a certain level, keeping that energy, at a certain, level, pattern, stuff like that, so you don't have a spike or something like that, kind of overload with more that you can take. And unlike wiring or with cars and things like that, where you might end up shutting the system down, it has bigger results, because the other reason why it's important to ground and very, protective and safe practice to maintain is because there's a lot of energy that isn't always good. A lot of low vibrational spirits, a lot of low vibrational energy that just collected around us and things like that attacks on us. They're like leeches. It attacks and connects us, and when you're not grounded, you're leaving yourself open to all of that. So that's why it's so important whenever you're doing any kind of spell work, wherever you're doing any kind of work, even if you're just even meditating, it's so important to ground, because when we're doing all of these things that we normally do and without even thinking about it, we're opening ourselves up to so much that is around us, so much that want to kind of feed off that energy, that pure energy that we have. So grounding is another way of not only keeping ourselves balanced, but also protecting ourselves, so that we're not just open to any and everything. So along with a lot of things, like a lot of people when they first start their spiritual journey, you want to sage and stuff like that, and make sure that your space and your area is clean, right? Make sure your space has no negative energy. But are you also taking the time to make sure that you stay clean? Make sure that you stay, void of negative energy, low vibrational energy. You can think of grounding as a way of how we sage ourselves. Even though you can sage yourself, but grounding is another way of keeping, ourselves balanced. And another thing I would definitely want to tell you is that, as far as meditating, because we already talked about meditation and stuff like that, grounding is going to help you a lot with focusing. Again, you have a lot of energy around us. Hell, even spirits and stuff like that might distract us sometimes, even though it's okay to get messages, stuff from spirits and things like that. But we're trying to meditate, and you like, oh my God, I can't focus. I can't concentrate on what I'm doing. It's just so hard to concentrate. It's because you're not grounded. That energy is not balanced, which means that you're not balanced. So another reason why it's so helpful and so important to know how to ground is because it helps us focus. It helps us stay balanced. And the same thing goes with anytime we do our intentions and stuff for spell work and things like that. If you're not grounded, the energy that you're putting into your work it's not getting all of that. It's not getting all that energy, it's not getting all of your intentions in there. So you kind of open yourself up to, again, things attacking your work, things jumping into there. And, if your mind's all over the place, you manifesting things that you didn't even intend to manifest, because your mind is in balance, your mind is in focus, and mind, body, and spirit is all connected. So grounding yourself connects everything and balances out everything, so that you can have a laser focus on what you're doing and have a higher success rate with the work that you're putting out there or intending to do. So that's why grounding is so very, very important. to your practice. Now, of course, I also said another thing, like, which was earthing, which is also another way to ground and balance ourselves. They pretty much go hand in hand. Earthing is more of a natural way of doing it, and I'm going to get into the methods of grounding and earthing and things like that, but earthing is pretty much the same concept as grounding. Only thing is with earthing is when you go outside and literally sit amongst nature and really be within Mother Nature and really connect with her head on, while grounding is something more or less that you do inside, and you can do at home and things like that. Earthing is you going outside and literally being one with nature. So those are pretty much the differences between grounding and earthing, but then again, they're not really that different. It's the same intent behind both practices. So of course, we gotta talk about exactly how do you ground. Now that you know why you do it and the purpose of it and what it is, why do we ground, how to ground and earth ourselves. So one of my favorite methods, and one of the first methods that I started doing when I began my spiritual practices, was learning the golden cord method. And this is something that's super easy, and honestly there's 100 different ways to ground, but we're going to start you off with the basic. Now, the ground cord method does take a bit of visualization, a little bit of imagination in order to be effective, but the process is pretty basic. So you're going to find a comfortable seat like this one. Find a comfortable seat that you feel, good in. Sorry. You find a comfortable seat. Get yourself real comfortable. Put yourself in a place where you're not going to be interrupted, because this does take concentration. You're going to get to a comfortable spot, right? And you can either be laying down or you can be sitting up straight. Just make sure your spine is straight. Then you're going to slowly, close your eyes. Breathe in and breathe out. Get a good, steady pace with your breathing. Make sure, it's controlled. Breathing in deeply. Breathing out, allowing your mind to slow down a little bit. All right, and then once you get a good, good tempo as far as your breathing and things like that, and control of that, and quiet your mind enough, gonna visualize a gold cord. That's why it's called the golden cord method. You're gonna visualize a golden cord that starts from your crown, right, that crown chakra, and comes all the way down through your spine, and comes through your root. And just imagine, doesn't matter if you live on the 18th floor or you live on the first floor, you're just gonna imagine that cord coming from your crown, going through all your chakras, coming through your root, and going all the way down through all through floors and all that stuff, but going all the way down, touching the earth, and then all the way down to the earth's core, where all the earth's energy is bubbling and going. You're gonna connect, and you're literally visualizing your body being connected with the earth's core and that infinite energy. Just imagine yourself surrounded by a protective light. It's blocking out all the other energy around you. Just imagine a white light around you, and then this golden cord that just comes directly in the middle of you and goes right down into earth. And just imagine that cord is unbreakable. There's nothing that can separate that cord. You are connected. And while you're doing this, continue to control your breathing and focusing, right? And you do this as long as your intuition tells you to do it, right? And then you'll know, because once you are actually grounded, you'll feel recharged. That's the best way I can explain it. You just feel yourself filled with so much energy, but not chaotic energy, but just recharged, like someone really just, plugged you in and recharged, right? So you're connected to this energy, right? And then once you're ready, just open your eyes, and then you go off to do what it is that you need to do, whether it be your spell work, meditation, or just starting off your day. That's pretty much a basic method of grounding yourself. Now, another way people do it's the same thing. You can visualize. You don't have to use a golden cord method. You can pretty much just visualize, but the basics of it is the same. You imagine yourself being one with the earth. And you can imagine yourself, another method some people use is like the tree method. Imagine yourself being a tree and roots coming from your fingertips and your toes, and just going all the way down into the ground, and again connecting with the earth's core. And just imagine that energy just being, drained from the earth and coming with into your body and just enveloping you in so much, good energy that it just feels good to you, and just again breathing and things like that. And that's pretty much the basis of how you ground. Now, of course, I encourage you to find a method that works for you and research it. You can Google this, but find a method that works with you. And of course, even if you can't necessarily get to the point where you're able to do it in a quiet place, put on some meditative music that's meant to help you ground. So you can just Google grounding music, or basically assisting someone, talking to and assisting you to help you ground. If that's where you need to start, I had to start that way. So there's nothing wrong with that. But you'll be amazed how much you're able to concentrate better once you start grounding and doing it often enough, that it becomes very easy to meditate. It becomes very easy to say what your intentions are when you're doing spell work or manifesting, because you're basically training your brain to focus. And you're training your energy to focus itself on a point that you're putting your energy into. Now, earthing, like I said, is a little different, but the concept is the same. Earthing is a little different, but basically, it's beautiful. Basically, what you do, you go outside, obviously most of the time during the summertime, but if you live in more warmer climates, lucky you can pretty much do this year round. But basically, what you're gonna do is you're gonna go find yourself like a field. You can go to a park, you can go to your local, hiking trail, wherever there is nature and wherever you can, find a spot and be alone with, right? And this is, nature isn't gross. So you're going to have to take off your socks, take off your shoes and things like that, and put your feet in the grass or the dirt or just wherever there is literally nature, wherever it is, uninterrupted. Because back in the day, before we started wearing shoes and things like that, people were constantly grounding themselves because you were constantly connecting your feet, obviously, with the natural ground and, terrain. But then we started wearing shoes and started moving into houses and things like that, so we don't connect with the earth in the same way as we used to. But anyway, so what you can do is earthing, what you can do is go into the woods, obviously be safe, let people know where you're going and things like that. Or if you're lucky enough, go into your backyard, just wherever there's grass, wherever there's dirt, wherever there's nature, sand, wherever that is, you know what I'm talking about. Go outside. Hell, you can honestly do this on cement to a degree. You can do this on cement too. But basically, go out, take your shoes off, right? And imagine yourself, same thing, kind of like that golden cord method. Imagine yourself connecting with the earth. And this time, in a literal sense, you're actually connecting with it. I'm not saying that grounding, you're not doing it, but it's more of a literal way of doing it. You're connecting. So just imagine the grass, imagine the dirt, the sand and stuff like that kind of embracing you and sucking you in. And the same method, you're going to breathe in and out. You can do this laying down or standing, but you're just going to imagine the earth just kind of holding you, taking you in. Again, do that whole white light thing. Imagine there's a protective white light that's around you and enveloping you in there. And imagine the earth's just connecting with you. Just connecting with you and being one with you. Same thing as grounding. It's just pretty much outside. And if you're too shy to, take your shoes off, you don't want to look weird, or you just don't want to do that, you can always hug a tree. I know it sounds like, dismissive because they say a lot to people who are for nature and stuff like that, but you can hug a tree, go outside. And as you continue spiritual practice, you're going to stop caring about how things may look to others, because you're just going to be so in tune with what you're doing that you're going to have a lot more confidence in doing this. But, you can go outside and hug a tree and just same thing, just breathe in and out, controlling your breathing, connecting with the earth. And like I said, follow your intuition, because your intuition will tell you when you are recharged, and you will literally feel yourself being recharged, and just go off and do whatever it is that you need to do. But always, 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 if you don't take anything from this video, Always remember that it's important before you do any works of spiritually or just starting off your day. It's important that you ground yourself, because you don't know what you're exposing yourself into necessarily. You don't always know. We're not always aware all the time. So that's why it's basically think of grounding and earthing as a way of already putting on that protective shield before you do anything. All right, now, of course, even though we are balanced, even though it's good energy, if we hold on to that energy for too long, we do kind of still have an overload, because the earth, the moon, the sun, it is a divine source. It's a lot. And though we have it to a degree where we can take it, it's still important that once you finish with your day, once you finish with your spiritual practice that you were doing, whether it be meditating, doing some kind of work, it's important that you return that energy back. Not because the earth is going to run out of that energy because it's infinite, but because as humans enjoying it or dealing with a human experience, our bodies cannot hold on to that energy for so long. And that's why a lot of times, especially with new practitioners and stuff like that, that's why a lot of times you feel tired and drained, because you basically are forgetting to wouldn't be unground yourself, but just return that energy back. And this is something that when I first started my practices and started doing spell work and things like that, this is something that I didn't understand why I would felt so drained. And when I talk about drained, I mean I would be tired for like 3 days after, and I wouldn't understand. Was because basically I was holding on to so much energy, you know, which is good when I'm doing your spiritual practices, when it's good when you're meditating, things like that, that's good, but you can't hold on to it. You have to remember to give it back. So basically with grounding, earthing, just do everything in reverse, and just imagine that energy being placed right back into the earth. Remember to say thank you and be appreciative, because you know the universe is very receptive to when we are appreciative to things, and we don't just take things for granted. So make sure you say thank you and everything like that, but just return that energy back in and rebalance ourselves again. And I promise you, afterwards, you won't feel so drained, so tired after you do your spiritual works, or after you've, you know, done whatever you've done for the day. You're gonna feel back to normal and not be so drained. So basically, this wasn't a long video. Pretty sure we touched on everything. Yeah, touched on everything. But basically, that's an easy concept. But that's how you ground and earth. And it's pretty much why we do it and what's the importance and significance of it. I hope that this video reaches you in a perfect state of mind to receive it. And I can't wait to hear your stories about how your spiritual practices and your works have transformed since you kind of added this to your practices. Have a wonderful day, and remember to always be unstoppable in everything that you do, because you are unstoppable. Like, subscribe, and share. See you guys next time.